Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Stoop and thank y'all so much for being here. It's been a minute, I know, for a lot of people. I have been absent because generally when I try to get on here, I did unboxings, and unboxings are ever so powerful for so long, and you want to know which is in which one, but you can find that anywhere. But the bottom line is, I'm here to share my story with you. And sometimes when my story is my story, it's okay. But there are other people involved in my story, like my sons and my daughters and my sisters and my brothers and my mother. And I don't think it's not good to tell their stories without their permission. I don't like it. But there has been one embroiling factor in this thing, and I don't think he would mind me telling you that he's got an alcohol problem, seriously alcohol problem, and he's been trying to quit, and he lost his job basically because of alcohol. He did an amazing job, made a ton of money, but now he has no insurance, so therefore he's in the system. So I've been trying to hook him up with that. And in the meantime, I did not know there were other factors in the background. He had a roommate stay for a while. That was a crackhead, because he said, "Mom, I'm just trying to help him out." But the crackhead would leave little crack-laced roaches in his little tray, and I thought, well, you're smoking that. You're starting to go all nutty. I can't fuck with you. And it just went from there till he called me one night, Thanksgiving night. My daughter and my son-in-law were here, and he says, "Simone and Jacob stole my TV while I was sleeping and put me a busted one back here." And I'm like looking around like, they're here. They're right here. So he got on the phone. He said, "No, you let me speak to him." And he called his sister horrible names. And I said, "Well, I can't talk to you anymore. You've let one friendship lead over anything else." A couple days goes by. The dude that I consider to be a crackhead, he calls me up time after time after time, like that whole next day. And I said, "I'm not talking to him, I'm not talking to him." And it turns out of whatever sense that I had, I finally answered the phone. And I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Mama, I know that you think that because I smoke crack that this is Cody's issue." He said, "But he's not. He's been living in his closet for 2 days. He's got cigarette burns all over his arms, everywhere. There's something going on." I hung the phone up and I immediately called the police department in Millbrook, Alabama. They came out, and his other roommate, Anthony, who's been with him since 4th grade, Anthony just like, "Oh, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. His grandma just died. He's okay. He's just drinking a little bit." So they went home. In the meantime, I texted my son, his older brother, Brad, and I said, "I've called 911 for your brother." I said, "I don't know what you need to do." Hours go by. The police department calls me back within 30 minutes, says there's nothing we can do. The roommate says he's fine. The boy doesn't want to have any further help. But when his brother went by, they took him into the hospital. And it turns out, somewhere along the line, he had actually had a motorcycle accident here a few months back. And staph, MRSA, had infected his spine. And it had started, he made no sense. And when MRSA had kicked my ass, I remember my face swelled up. And anything you could ask me, I had no sensical answer. And I couldn't put 2 and 2 together, and everything was weird. His face swelled up, but that's because his kidneys were shutting down. He was in acute kidney failure, acute liver failure. His brains were toast. Everything was tanking, and that's because he had a staph infection. He has been in such trouble. Such trouble. He's a good kid, but nobody ever knew. how you can get in such trouble for shit like staph. I thought he was a drunk, thought he was smoking crack. Man, I'm so lucky because when they came and got Cody, when his brother went out there after I called 911, the doctor told me when I went out there that night to the hospital, she said, had somebody called, not today, Saturday, but tomorrow, Sunday, he'd have been past saving. He's had his spine operated on. He's got rods and things in there. And if he's had an aspiration surgery, which goes between his heart and his lungs and all that. And if has another surgery, it's going to go crack his sternum. Staph is horrible. I mean, but just anyway, sometimes what you think is things like, I thought my son was a drunk and I shouldn't pay him any attention. But what if I had not had other people interfere, like Bradley, his brother, and his roommates? I could have lost my son forever. Just a quick note to say, things aren't always as they appear. But anyway, I miss you guys, and I'll tune in when I can focus and do other things.